Hello, this is Jake Spottiswood, and this is a presentation of actually how my tour of Rome lesson actually works. As you've seen, at this point in time, the students have already met with their groups and have answered their individual questions through their question sheet and complete sentences. The reason why they're doing this is they're going to come up here and actually be our tour guides of the day of the different parts of Rome and the different attractions that you will see. Most students will never be able to see these places themselves, and Google Earth and Google Images actually helps them see things that they would normally never see in their lifetime. Some teachers have them do presentations, hold up a poster board with like pictures of the Pantheon, for example, and have them explain it. This does it in a different way because you can use technology to actually see a lot of the things that you wouldn't normally see just on a regular picture. You can fit it all together, and actually it kind of wows students, it kind of draws them in because they're seeing things that are actually like images of the places today. Some of the images are a little bit better than others. Obviously, the Colosseum is a little bit more together than some other the ruins that you would see. So you have to kind of use your imagination in these other places. But it's a really great thing because you can show like where it's at in relation to the other monuments, in relation to the other places. It's a really great thing to draw students in. At this point in time, all the students will be sitting down in their seats, and they will actually be having a note sheet with them. So when the other groups are presenting, they will be taking notes on each individual place. I will be stopping at certain points where if I think that needs to be elaborated a little bit, or if they're missing something, or things that I feel that are important to know for their exam or to, going forward. So with that, I will call up each individual group 1 through 6, and they will stand up here with their presenter, who will obviously be standing here with their question sheet and actually reading questions off of the class. The other person will be their tech. Their tech will be sitting in the chair, actually manipulating my iPad and showing the individual place itself. The great thing about that is it really streamlines everything, and it has it so it doesn't feel forced, but at the same time it's really open, and students can have really fun with it. So the better speakers in the class will really get into being like the tour guides of our class. So what they'll be doing as they're coming up here, they will be grabbing my iPad, and I actually have a cord that I got from the library that hooks into my iPad and projects anything that I have through the projector to the smart board. So they'll just plug it in. And sometimes you kind of have to mess with the cord a little bit, but it will project anything I have on my iPad. So here's my home screen, and you'll slide to unlock. From there, you will go to the Maps icon right here. You'll click on the Maps icon. From the Maps icon, it shows the 3D images of the individual place. Right now, it's just where we're at today. You can switch between standard mode, which will just show the roads and the different areas, but I switch it obviously to hybrid mode so that we can actually see the satellite images. You can't also just do the satellite images itself, but sometimes it's kind of harder to see the places. With the hybrid mode, it actually shows the streets and actually highlights the places, so it's a little bit easier. With that, each group will find their individual place on the bookmarks. Bookmarks take kind of a long time to make. Sometimes just by searching them, either they won't come up right away, or they might show up as a completely different place than what you thought it would be. For example, the Colosseum took me a little while to actually find it. But once you do and you have it saved on this bookmark, you just have it saved for every individual class, and it's really easy to find. And the way I have them set up is how we're going to start and how we're going to end. One of the last ones is one of my favorites. It's obviously the Colosseum. So what they'll do is they'll go to the Colosseum part, and they'll actually click on the Colosseum bookmark. So from there, obviously it's a little bit off, it's a little bit up across the street, but you can zoom right in. And from there, they can switch and manipulate the iPad itself to show the individual parts. You can see what parts are missing, zoom in, zoom out, and so forth. So what they'll be doing is they'll actually be reading off their questions and saying, okay, this is the Colosseum. This has, it was built at this date. It's also known as a Flavian amphitheater, so on and so forth. They can actually also zoom in parts that actually deal with the questions. So for example, one of the questions has to deal with the pits at the very bottom. So they can actually zoom into the pits and see how the original floor was down here, and how the pits were below the floor. And from then they can move into 3D mode. You can go to the overhead mode and move it around, or they can go to 3D mode and actually see like the insides and how they're actually dug out. The great thing about this is it's completely up to the students. They can move it around and they can show it. If they are not showing something properly, I might say, hey, just zoom into that part so we can show the class of it. So we'll zoom into the pits and then we'll talk about it. So every monument or every place isn't always as great as the Colosseum. The Colosseum obviously is open, so it's easier to look at certain different places. So for example, one of the ones I have is the Pantheon. So it shows Pantheon. Great thing is it shows the outside. You can see the oculus, you can see even the front of it. If I take this and actually, sometimes it's easier if you take it off of, if you put on the above mode, and then you can zoom in and you put it back in 3D mode, and you actually see like the inscription on the front. You can see the oculus, you can see all the individual parts of the outside. Now, if you want to see the Pantheon, you obviously want to see the inside as well. So what I've done to like help explain to the class to like how the inside looks, I actually have photos of it. And I got some of these images off of Google and different places. So that I actually just go to my photos and go to the Rome Tour album. From there, I'll say, okay, go to my Rome Tour album and click on picture number 2. Picture number 2 is obviously the inside of Pantheon. From there, you can see the floor, the different, the inside and all the different features of Pantheon itself, and I can explain, okay, this is what this is where the rain comes through, this is how the floor is set up. And it's really great because it shows a lot of things, obviously, that the satellite images can't, because obviously you can't have the images from the inside. It takes a lot of classroom management to kind of switch between these things, and sometimes you might have to explain it a couple times, but usually after seeing it a couple times, most students get it. Most students use an iPad or a smartphone at this point. Touchscreen is a really big thing now. So what I thought was going to be actually a lengthy process of actually teaching them how to use it really only took about 5 minutes tops with each individual tech. And I had the techs come up and say, okay, this is how you do it. You know, I'll show them, and then they individually do it. And it's pretty like it's second nature at this point to them. So at this point, they'll go up, they'll explain each individual one. We'll go through the bookmarks together. And they can zoom in and zoom out of certain parts, and it's really great for the students really get into it because you're not just sitting there listening to a dry presentation with somebody with holding up just like a piece of board with a couple pictures on it. This shows things that you really can't normally show, and students really enjoy the use of the technology, and they obviously like to move around and actually present themselves. Even the students that aren't presenting at their point are still like watching and they're intently engaged on the material. Because it's not just having them listen to me lecture for 55 minutes at a time, or having them just do a reading. So this concludes my presentation of how my tour of Rome lesson actually works. If you have any questions, please email me at the email address that I have listed on my application, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.